How's it going, Thieves fans? This weekend is the first weekend of the Major 5 qualifiers, and the Thieves have two matches to play going into Saturday and Sunday. The Thieves' first matchup is going to be on Saturday going up against Toronto Ultra, which, looking back on the previous split of Major 4, Toronto Ultra had a really rough showing, going only 1-4, where they ended up losing to the teams of Boston, Seattle, FaZe, and Vegas. Now, obviously, FaZe is not too crazy for them to lose against. FaZe is a top 3-4 team, depending on how you want to look at it. So them losing to FaZe online isn't too big of a deal. But the teams that kind of concern me the most with them is definitely going to be more of Vegas and Boston. Boston's not a bad team necessarily, but based on how Ultra has performed in previous majors, that was definitely a slow showing for them. And then losing to Vegas also not a very good look. So their online qualifiers were not great, to say the least. They went into the tournament where they obviously started in a loser's bracket, and the team they were knocked out by was, again, Atlanta FaZe, where they lost 3-2, and they almost had the opportunity to reverse sweep, which they honestly could have won their very first map that they played. They ended up losing it by, I believe, 6 points, going 250 to 244, and they were leading it to start it off, and they just got broken pretty easily towards the end. They went 4 dead, and FaZe was obviously all around the point. They were able to just take it and get their last 2 points to get the win. So they ended up going down 2-0 early, and Control, luckily enough for them, they're not too bad at it, and FaZe is not good at Control at all. That gave them a little bit of momentum going into the next hard point, where they were able to take that map as well, which again, FaZe is not the strongest hard point team. So looking at that matchup, I think Thieves will still have an advantage over Ultra based on the fact that Thieves is a better hardpoint team than FaZe. But in the end, FaZe ended up winning that match in the search. They went 6-3. And to me, that's where the Thieves will stand out a little bit more as well, is that the Thieves are better at hardpoint and they're pretty solid at search now, as well as their control being really good. So the things that Ultra was not able to do well against FaZe, that will hurt them even more up against a team like the Thieves. Now, with this being online qualifiers, that's what makes it a little more difficult, because Thieves are notoriously not very good online. So it makes it a little tough to kind of decide on if the Thieves can beat this team, even though I believe they are the one of, if not the only S tier team in the game right now. I still think it's tough just based on the fact that it's online, but I will say I think the Thieves will end up beating Ultra 3-1 based on the fact that Ultra had a pretty rough online showing as well. They did a little better at the major, but again, this is online. So them going 1-4 online versus the Thieves going 4-1 in the last major, I don't see Ultra being able to take it. But the next matchup is where I get a little more worried based on performances recently and the fact that we're going to be online. The Thieves' second matchup is going to be on Sunday going up against the New York Subliners. This is the one that, like I said, it scares me a little more than the Toronto Ultra. Not necessarily because I think NYSL is a better team than Ultra, but I think it's more so based on the fact that NYSL is very up and down, and any given weekend you could see NYSL be one of the best teams in the league versus be one of the worst teams in the league. And I would say more so at the major, we saw a little bit of a better side of NYSL, where they even had the opportunity to knock out FaZe, and they kind of just soiled it a little bit, to be honest, in their search and destroys. Now, obviously, FaZe is a good search and destroy team, but when you look back at the matches, New York actually had the opportunity to close out the first search and destroy, which would have won them the series overall. They were going back and forth with FaZe, which, again, a good feat on its own, but then they had two opportunities to close out around, and they just weren't able to do it. aBeZy had a 1v3 and a 1v4. The 1v4 definitely more so something that should not happen, especially at the pro level. And that definitely gave FaZe that momentum to end up closing it out in the round 11. So that was a big mishap for the New York Subliners. And I think that with how good they played against FaZe on both the respawns and the searches, I think that's where Thieves might need to be a little more concerned. New York definitely showed that they were a better hardpoint team on their first map, which was the Hydro, and that's Thieves' kind of favorite map. So the battle between Thieves and in New York on Hydro could be a little more risky than, you know, some other teams might be. But one thing to keep in mind is that Priesta had a pretty solid series, despite them losing. This is something that he normally does against FaZe, though, so I don't want to take too much into consideration with that. Not saying he's a bad player by any means, but just he plays a lot better against FaZe, which is his old team. Now, do I think he'll play that way against Thieves? I think he'll still play well. I just don't know if he'll play at that same tier as he does against FaZe. I think this is a better opportunity for New York to actually be able to take the win based on the fact that their search actually went really well against FaZe, and the Thieves one mode that's still, I would say, on the lower end of the spectrum, at least for them as a team, is definitely their search and destroy. So if Thieves can take the first search against New York and be able to take the hard point, I don't see New York being able to win, but I think if the Thieves lose either the first hardpoint or the first search, there's definitely a high likelihood that New York has a chance to take this series. And looking into future matchups for the Thieves during this split, I don't see Thieves losing to any of the other teams. So if they were to lose to New York, I see the Thieves going 4-1 in this major. But like I said, it really just depends on the version of New York that we see. For this week, I'm still going to go with the Thieves going 2-0. I'm confident in the Thieves. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier, but we should also look for, is based on how Ultra play against Surge, because they play Surge on Friday. So that could kind of change how the Thieves might play up against Ultra, but I still think that the Thieves are the better team. Like I said, the fact that it's online is the thing that scares me the most, but they just looked so good. And if they can keep performing at the level that they were at the major, there's really not a team besides maybe Optic that can beat them, and even that is questionable. So I think Thieves are going to be able to take it. I think Thieves actually have the opportunity to go 5-0. Hopefully they take advantage of that and they're able to do that, get that first seed going into the new major. That's the first two matchups of the majors for the Thieves, and I see the Thieves beating Ultra 3-1, and I see the Thieves beating New York possibly 3-2. I would prefer 3-1, but I'll go with 3-2. So a 3-1, 3-2 victory for Thieves, going 2-0 on the weekend, and hopefully that means they'll be able to go 5-0 on this major split. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the bell so that way you get notified every time I post a new video. I would also like to point out that I just came out with a Thieves Talk Discord page where we can have fans like myself come in and have a little bit more of a sense of community, and there will be some updates on the Thieves and even a little area for people to come together and maybe play some ranked, and hopefully we'll get it set up some 8s so that way we can do some fan 8s and things like that. Also, if you would like to receive more Thieves Talk updates, go ahead and check out the Thieves Talk Twitter. I will have that linked in the description down below. And if you would like to follow me, I will also have my personal Twitter linked underneath the Thieves Talk link. That's going to do it for today's video. Be sure to let me know your guys' takes and predictions on the upcoming matches this weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you guys.